Welcome to our 2024 Payments Megatrends Europe, Middle East, and Africa edition. My name is Lindsay Lear. I am the Managing Director of Payments and Commerce Market Intelligence. I'm so thrilled to introduce our two speakers today. I'm going to start off with Mikhail Popov, our EMEA lead here at PCMI. Welcome.
My name is Mikhail Popov. I come from Argentina, currently in Barcelona, Spain. I'm specialized in payments, blockchain, and digital assets.
Thank you, Mika. And I'm also so thrilled and honored to welcome Uttam Nayak, our EMEA special guest today.
I've been a payment specialist for the last 3 decades. I've worked primarily for 27 years in Visa in multiple roles around the world.
As a whole, when we look at e-commerce and POS, a couple of trends we can observe. The first is a distinct and continual decline of cash, right? We see in the yellow boxes there on the bottom, cash as a share of POS payments continually decreasing down to 15% through 2026. We also see a trend of declining card share. Cards are still the leaders as they are in most regions around the world, both in e-commerce and in-person payments. But this trend is starting, these payment methods are starting to see competition from wallets and also faster payments, real-time payments, or what we call A-to-A, account-to-account payments. An even more pronounced decline of cash, okay, at the POS, going from 43% in 2022 down to 20%. That's a loss of 14 percentage points in the span of 4 years. So Africa, of course, very heavily cash dominant, large unbanked population still. But with the digital changes that we're observing, we see cash really declining in an impressive way. Now, where are those transactions flowing to? We actually see continued growth of cards and a growth of digital wallets.
Here, Europe is a clear example of the early adoption of the different account schemes, mostly used for peer-to-peer transactions and transfers, and with an increased adoption in e-commerce payments as well. We will start seeing the implementation of a new regional schemes for cross-border transfer. This is huge because this is the case, for instance, of the recent agreement last year between eSoon, Banco McPay, and MBWay, which will implement an interoperable transfer scheme between these different systems, actually allowing users from these different schemes to make instant payments among them.
Trends which started off in Asia and Europe on real-time on instant payments has now finally hit the Middle East in the last couple of years. Obviously, you can see on the slide there, Bahrain, which is a small country of 1 million people, the central bank and Fawry really set the ball rolling on real-time payments and has very high digital penetration through a couple of companies like Benefit and others out there. And most recently in 2023, as many of you know, the success of India's UPI has been so well recognized, and they have taken what they call the India stack and offered to already 9 governments around the world, and UAE is one of them. In parallel, you have Kuwait, which has a domestic scheme and a consortium of banks called KNet. They provide instant P2P services, but they use the card rails. And it is processed as e-commerce transactions. And I think almost 100% of the P2P is using this platform. And of course, Qatar, did a big push when they hosted the FIFA World Cup last year to use really QR codes, and use instant transfers from account to account. So that's a significant shift happening out here in the Middle East, led by these GCC countries.
Africa is not just a story about mobile money ones, because banks and central banks are also trying to implement their own account-to-account and RTP schemes. And as we can see on the map, Africa in this regard is fragmented. We have cases like Ghana, Nigeria, whose schemes have penetrated deeply into the population. However, on the other hand, we can see that in the southern and western parts of Africa, schemes launched more recently are still struggling to achieve considerable adoption among the population. Okay, So in this sense, and implicitly recognizing that mobile money operators have found a place in the market that banks have not been able to reach, many of them have adopted a partnership strategy, which is really, really interesting.
Banks are feeling completely disintermediated. And you see in the case of in Kenya, KCB, the largest bank, has really now tied up with M-Pesa to really offer a mobile wallet with bank branding, but really riding on the M-Pesa rail. So, banks and mobile wallets forever were seen as competition. But now suddenly in the last, couple of years, they've become partners with the mobile schemes as well as the card networks. And you can see MTN and Airtel, in fact, have investments from one of the card networks. I think it's MasterCard. And they made significant investment to even see how the wallet network can integrate with the cards network, especially the point of sale for merchant purchases.
We can see how different fintechs of all kinds are offering different types of solutions in the structure and in the flow of cross-border payments and remittances. For instance, we have the most relevant cases of the UAE and Saudi Arabia, which have officially launched in the last years their respective national identity apps for platforms. So in order for the users and the population to access public services and also services from the private sector. The case of UAE Pass, for instance, has been really, really successful in its implementation, and it can also tell us more about this. And wallets and different wallets have successfully integrated it into the system. Okay, and in the case of Europe, once again, the European Union is setting the pace through regulation.
Europe remains at the forefront of regulation and technology development to create a unified payments region. Instant low-cost cross-border transfers is the next thing that is actively boiling right now and will soon become a reality in Europe, a little bit ahead of many regions. And digital ID and next-generation fraud prevention is going to be the next wave of innovation that Europe will need to embrace and develop, and that we'll start to see business opportunities there to make sure that all of this movement forward continue to remain secure. The Middle East truly is a hotbed for fintech innovation, with banks being a little bit slower and I think very unique demographics, right? Creating multiple public, private, and multilateral initiatives for cross-border payments. So we still quite fragmented and chaotic, we might say. And I think over in the next year or two, we'll start to see that consolidate a little bit. Stablecoin and crypto solutions finding an attractive home here because of this cross-border need that we see in the region and the investment flowing in terms of innovation and fintech. Africa, a fascinating region with so much to do. Around 400 million people still underserved by financial services, including mobile money. So while there's been great leaps and bounds already taking place, there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot of opportunity between banks, between mobile money, and other international fintechs coming in to provide that connectivity that the region is looking for. This is a very fast-moving region and a region where we have a lot of greenfield opportunity for totally new technologies, new innovations, new partnerships to go after this pie that is kind of still untapped.